up, you guys? It's your boy Sideshow along with Skeptic today. This is the Devil's Work podcast. We are here for a very, very special episode. I can't believe this is actually happening. I am honored to introduce our guest today, Jim Ojala from Ojala Effects. Give it up for Jim.
Hey, good to be here, guys.
Everyone, noise. And I'm doing this.
A man who is perhaps better known by his work, you know?
Yes. We were just having this conversation off mic. Absolutely.
Like you might not know the name, but as soon as we tell you what he does, you're gonna feel really stupid for not knowing the name.
I like that. Yeah.
We get to gatekeep this man. That's awesome.
Exactly.
Austin's gonna be real proud of us when he watches this.
Yes, he couldn't be with us today. Rest in peace. By which I mean he needed the time off.
I'm so sorry for
That's
that.
right.
Jesus Christ.
I want him to have peaceful rest. Is that so wrong?
Absolutely. So for those of you who are just listening right now, you may not know, but this is also going to be available on YouTube. This is going to be our very first episode that we've recorded. I mean, it was like a year ago, I think we put the last
for quite
video
a while.
Yeah, the last one was actually
since
our last interview.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what we do. The interviews we do on camera, so people know we're not just running an AI simulation.
Exactly.
So
we're not deep faking anything. But yeah, please go and check out the YouTube. Go subscribe right now. Go share, comment, all that bullshit. Please go do that. It's gonna help us out a lot.
This is the Devil's Work podcast, the podcast where generally we watch the most fucked up movies in the world so that you don't have to. But every now and then we talk to somebody who actually does or builds
makes
or creates something within this world. So our last interview was with Neil Napier, better known as Chainsaw Charlie from the movie Slashers.
Yeah, shout out Neil, man. Such a good
who's
guy.
having a very prolific career these days.
Oh,
He's actually done a lot of work just since we've known him.
Yeah, and I will say, I'll add this in right now. I talked to him in person after the episode aired, and he told me that he had actually talked to someone who was doing the re-release of the Blu-ray of Slashers. And when they interviewed him about it, he mentioned that he was on a podcast talking about this very movie that no one had ever talked about for years. And so, yeah, I appreciate that shout out.
We
bring
Neil. The dark to light. That's what we absolutely do. So Jim, it's really great to have you here today.
Pleasure to have you, man. Thank you so much.
Let me do this by way of introduction to what you do and how people may know you. I'm actually a huge fan of the games Persona and Shin Megami Tensei. So when they recently were doing some promotional material for SMT5, the re-release, you had done some custom masks for SMT.
Yup.
And I was like, this is so cool. This is amazing. And the way that they had contextualized it was saying that they were collaborating with Slipknot and the creator of their masks. So that's what Jim is really maybe not the most known for, but in my eyes the most known for.
It's the most loved for on my end. This is fucking crazy, man.
But it was crazy to see. I'm just like, this JRPG world, and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, well, we love metal bands, and then I just showed it to Sideshow and Austin, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. I love these games. We all love Slipknot. Like, this is a really cool, crossover of these things. And then he was like, oh, that's so funny. I actually just reached out to Jim to ask if he would be on the show.
It's meant to be.
Super kismet. Yeah, absolutely, man. So yeah, it's an honor. We fuck it. We'll start off there, man. How did that collaboration even come about, or what is the story there? Because I'm dying to know that.
Right? It's kind of crazy. Yeah, it threw a lot of Slipknot fans off too. Like, how does this fit in? And that's what's so cool about the second video that dropped, because the first video was just a making of us making it, and they were name dropping Slipknot, but Slipknot was seen nowhere in there.
Yeah.
Other than our connection. And then the second video was like, oh, they're going to critique it. So it was cool to have it come full circle. But yeah, originally Sega came to us and they were like, we're looking at a few different effects companies. that make masks and do these things, and you know, some that have also done work with Slipknot. But you know, we're really looking at you guys, and we're looking at who Slipknot recommends the most. And so this kind of went on for weeks, which was kind of a trial period of you know, talking to all these studios, and then in the end we won, which was so cool. Amazing, you know. And then one of the people that works for me too was like a massive fan of SMT, so it was just like freaked out when it was like, holy shit.
We don't normally, SMT fans, we don't normally dabble. We're not just like,
SMT's okay. Like, die hard. Well, the thing is, like, I wasn't in that world, so I was like, oh, I can't remember the name. And then they're like, was it Shin Megami Tensei? And I was like, oh, let me see. Shin Megami Tensei. Oh my God. Fucking head explodes. Like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, we got to get this. We got to get this then. And yeah, they, and then they basically, Sega came to us with like a bunch of options of different demons from SMT5. And like which ones that like I thought would be cool to make, and then also which ones Slipknot thought would be cool, you know. And there were specific.
It really was collaborative.
Very
That's
collaborative, because
so cool.
the thing is, like, with Slipknot, like they don't want to just like slap their names on anything. Yeah. Like they want to be involved, and like we don't want you like making some lame shit and then just throw our name on it. You know, like it's not about that for them. So like they were very involved in like that one, and then this one's an option. Hell yeah, that werewolf thing, cool.
God,
yeah,
so
definitely.
Cool.
Yeah. And I was like, I don't know, maybe don't pick the werewolf, because I don't know if we have time to do hair work and shit. But I don't know. Clown was like, nope, that werewolf, that's awesome. Let's do that one.
And I saw in the video, you could see that's the one that he like is very
exactly. Yeah. So it paid, because that was like the big one for him, that he really was like, yeah, that one, you know.
That's so cool, man.
So and it's funny because they wanted some other ones too, but Slipknot was like, no, these ones. And I'm like, okay, you know.
I can super see it. They do actually all, like, now that I understand that you guys, because the people who make SMT are such auteurs,
right,
that I could see them being like, these are the ones we want to be
featured. And want to kind of promote the most. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But now that I understand that you guys were like even more involved, I'm like, oh yeah, I 100% see how even just like the demon,
right?
You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Totally.
Which seems sort of like that one is not in Persona, which is the series most people play, even though it's actually a spin-off of SMT. It's like the spin-off was more successful, more accessible. So I was like, oh, okay, I see why they want to push him. But now I'm like, oh no, I see why they would be like, yeah, we like that guy.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. No, and I know a lot of that. I mean, over the years of just being a massive fan of the band myself, I know they are huge horror nerds.
Yeah.
Like massive horror nerds. So it's like, that is fucking so cool to see. And it's like it's full circle for everybody involved, I imagine. Like, you know, lovers of the game, lovers of the band, lovers of the practical effects and your effects company in general.
It's really cool because a huge part of those games, like I constantly joke about it, is I'll be playing them and I'll be like, yeah, I know the game had to have music, but like you really didn't need to go this hard. But like,
I'm glad you did.
Because Shoji Meguro, the music director for pretty much both series, the majority of these games, is just like, he's a mastermind. He's so good at writing and formulating songs for these worlds and creating these aesthetics. So when they started kind of being like, we're branching out to, you know, actual metal bands, we're branching out to Slipknot. So I'm like, what else is coming down the pipeline?
Totally, you know? Yeah. No, it was really forward thinking of them to be like, look, like these, we wanna boost these in the US. And it's like, and we think a great way is through this band that we believe there's good crossover with our fan base. And it was like, oh, that's like really smart, just kind of like out of the box thinking a little bit, you know?
Yeah. And that's kind of like, I've had some talks like for my music, for promotional stuff, where people are like, yeah, you're gonna have a harder time promoting like new rap song in the algorithm. But if you put some SMT gameplay with your song over it and you push it as new gameplay Twitch streaming, then more,
Right, exactly.
Smart.
Get the
Very smart,
taglines to like reel them in,
Yeah. That's so cool though, man.
I'm really curious to know if you guys had any interaction with Shoji, or I feel like there might, if it hasn't happened yet, I feel like this might happen down the line, because like I said, he's such a like musical force. I would love to see that, really come together.
No, absolutely. No, we haven't at this point, but it ended up being a great relationship and collaboration. So they said they definitely want to work with us more in the future. So we'll see.
That's
what goes.
awesome.
Yeah,
I would love to see in the next Yakuza game Slipknot karaoke.
That's awesome.
Amen.
That's so fun, man. And then we talk about like again, like even on this show when we have bands on and we have like hardcore bands, we have rap, we have musicians of all shades. We try and we have some down the pipe that were probably either released at the time of this recording or are right now.
We should find a bluegrass band who's really into like down home horror.
I'm in talks with a folk punk band at the moment. So that's what I'm saying. It's all, so you have all of these walks of life coming around, and like again, we talked about this earlier, is that horror is like the common denominator amongst all of these fan bases of different things. And it's so cool that like you get to be at the center of that too, like drawing people in, and people know. I mean, as silly as it sounds, I mean, younger people might not even have heard of Slipknot really before, but they love the game, and that's their entrance into the world. It's very cool to see the crossover like that, because again, I think it serves a really, really bigger purpose, and like a positive one at that. I think, and your work is phenomenal. I mean, can we go into more, or did you have more questions about the game for him?
No, I feel like he addressed a lot of it and even went into some things that I hadn't even really thought about.
Yeah, that's super cool.
That was. I mean, is there anything else that you'd like to mention about it?
No, I mean that's like that's fucking nuts, dude.
We do have a surprise that I don't know when they're gonna like unveil it, but we do have one extra little surprise that we made with that project that couldn't be released with that original 3, but there's something coming eventually, and it's
nice.
Really cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I wouldn't be surprised if one day, because they do like big Persona concerts where like just Shoji and the band who make the soundtracks will just get on stage for literally like 3 hours and just play like this huge medley.
Oh shit, that's some Danny Elfman shit. That's dope.
I wouldn't be surprised to see the Masks show up there.
Oh, that'd be badass,
So cool. Yeah,
right, that should be a band of its own right there,
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. No, I wanted to ask, I mean, speaking of the collaborations with that also, how did the Drain one come about? Because I saw that thing and lost my mind. That was so cool.
That was cool. One of my buddies, Luis, he works with a lot of bands and kind of manages and facilitates different bands and tours and stuff like that. He first hooked us up with Blink 182 a couple years ago. We made the Blink 182 bunny.
Oh,
so like a live like a life-size mascot to go on tour with them and to be in the audience like tearing shit up and stuff, and that went really good.
Ooh.
And then fast forward to recently, he came to us about the Drain shark costume, and it was like, in like 3 weeks, I think we could do that, so we kind of did some mock-ups, and it was the same kind of thing. Like, they're starting their tour, they want this guy to go on tour with them, and then future tours to be running in the audience and everything. So you got to make them like really tough. Got to make them really tough and durable, dude. Like day one when they received it, instantly one of the eyes got ripped off.
That's exactly, that's exactly what I meant.
I was like,
how
damn.
do you make the mascot for a hardcore band?
Right, that's the thing. It's like you got to make it bulletproof. Dude, before we sent it out, I even like scotch guarded the whole thing because people are gonna like probably vomit on this thing, piss on it, bleed on it, like all that shit'll come out. Yeah, exactly. All the sweat. I mean, dude, whoever's in that, I swear, is within 5 minutes they're gonna be dying.
Obligatory G.G. Allen reference.
Right.
Obligatory.
Yes, exactly.
You know? Hey, shit happens. Let's put it that way.
Yes. I can't wait for that biopic, by the way.
I had to look up pictures of both of them, and they both look amazing. They're both like so crazy, like come to life. And all I can think for both of them is like, that dude is... he's taking an ice bath after that.
Exactly.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, no, I saw. So like, I've loved Drain for a while now, and mostly I've loved them because of the clips from their live shows and like how intense and insane that crowd goes off for that. So like when I saw that you were tagged in a post that you had made the costume, I was like, I hope that thing can last more than 3 shows. Like, that's fucking crazy.
It is crazy. It's going to go through the meat grinder, but we built it pretty damn tough. And then we even took the head back and crazy reinforced, gave them a bunch of extra sets of eyes, if, whatever. Because that's like the most vulnerable part, I mean, you don't know what anybody's going to do, but, whenever they want the deluxe version, we'll install like a fan system or something,
Yeah. Straight up, full body.
One of those like cooling suits,
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. So I guess it's not, not always just contained to like the mask or to design work. I guess what other kind of work does your resume like encompass? Like,
I mean, it's literally everything. To be able to survive in this field as long as I have, I mean, you have to do everything from prosthetic makeups to fake bodies to fake animals to puppets to fully animatronic heads, servos, remote controls.
Wow.
I mean, masks. You name it, statues. We've done statues for the Hollywood Museum. We did a 7-foot Iron Man statue for a private client in Hong Kong that was fully posable, could light up, his head shield
That's
open.
Crazy.
There was Robert Downey Jr. inside. That was actually one of the ways I financed my movie, actually. So
that's crazy. Yeah, that's that big Hong Kong money.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like literally
so
like
fucking
across the board. I mean, you may have to make a crucifix bleed. Where we just had to do a bunch of projectile vomit tests for a movie I'm going out to Wisconsin for in a couple weeks.
I saw your clips of that.
I was just like me like fucking around in the yard. It was like, okay, how about this? Like, okay, that's a little thicker. Okay, thinner. Oh, you want the thinner so it can spray more. Okay, cool.
Yeah. God.
Shit you don't want to like figure out on set. Like, let's mess up my own alley first, and then we know exactly what we want when we get to set.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, that's a great segue. You mentioned it already. Your film. I mean, I need to know how that came about. How like the process of that, because you wrote, you produced, directed everything. Like,
co-produced, directed, did the effects. I mean, not something I'd ever recommend to anybody because it's like I love it and I love what we created, but making it was like.
It's a lot of hats for one head.
It's pretty miserable because you're literally talking about like, okay, shooting maybe a 12 to 16 hour shoot day. Then I got to go to the warehouse, work on some touch-ups on a mutant animatronic wolf because there's nobody else there that can quite do what I can do. So I have to jump in and do it, then go back to the hotel and work on shot lists for the next day and hopefully maybe get 3-4 hours of sleep a night. And it's just like, and you do that for weeks and it's dude, it's rough. It's rough. And then you're dealing with the personalities and people. See, I come from Troma where like you're like soldiers. And you're ready to die for it. So I got motherfuckers like sleeping on set, buckling after a certain amount of hours. Yep. They need more eggs. because I don't have enough protein. It's just like, dude, like, you know, our AD cracked on day 4 and quit.
Oh my god.
It was just like,
Wow.
and basically no AD for the rest of the shoot. And it was like me and the DP taking turns, and it was just, it was rough.
Punk rock as shit.
That's right around the point with no sleep you start dreaming with your eyes open. So
Exactly.
that'll break somebody.
Totally. Well, it's like you start to see people like think like, okay, this thing is not gonna get finished. And you start and the most dangerous thing on a film set is losing people's confidence. And the whole damn ship's gonna go down. So I just knew I start to see people panic, and I knew like as long as you don't take the time to panic and just keep going, go. As long as you never take time to panic, you can finish. And we did it. We just barely finished, you know?
Yeah.
Well, for those who don't know, we're talking about Strange Nature. This is your first film?
Yeah, feature, yeah.
Wow, first feature film. Yeah, please go check that out. I'm excited to check it out. The trailer looks fucking awesome. I mean, the effects, again, obviously, like we talked about this before, the effects are something not only just myself, but like all of us have collectively appreciated about the movies that we've covered was the practical effects.
Yeah.
Always the ones that we have the longest conversation.
Yeah. I never mind CGI as long as it doesn't make me think about it too much.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, but practical is funny because it's in the opposite way where like a really good practical shot makes you go, man, when did they swap his head?
Yeah,
because his head blew up like a watermelon.
Exactly.
And I did not sense a cut. Like, when did this happen?
That's the thing,
you know?
because you know it's a physical magic trick. So you are trying to figure it out. You know it's not something that can just be like, oh, hidden with a computer, you know?
Yeah, whereas CGI, you're like, yeah, that's so obviously fake. I hate it.
Right.
But as long as the CGI blends it, and I think a lot of things now, you have to kind of use a little of both to get what you really want.
It's definitely the best results. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good people have finally hit that instead of going, you know, the diehards going, it's got to be all practical, which is going to put them in a situation where they might be like, shit, how are we going to finish this?
Right.
And
we didn't have enough money to make the eyes blink. Now what? You know? It's just something as simple as that, you know? Yeah.
And a lot of times, early on anyway, CGI was mainly motivated by, that's going to cost us $100K. This is going to cost us $10K.
Right.
Exactly. You know, Wesley Snipes doesn't want to open his eyes. We'll put it in post.
Exactly. That's fine. We ain't paying him nothing else. Yeah.
God, that was so fucking bizarre to watch too. I was like, when someone pointed it out, I was like, oh, why? Like, why the fuck did you?
Oh, wait a minute. Are you guys being real? Is that in Blade or something or what?
In Blade 3.
Are you serious? They do
in Blade 3.
There's CG blinks on Wesley?
There's not even blinks. His eyes, his entire eyes are just like, there's like I think it's like a panning shot that zooms out.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it's like you could just, it's like the seams are just, you can never unsee it. It's fucked up.
He's like laying on a table or a bed or something, and it's like a vertical top down shot, and it's just supposed to be him laying there, just like laying there, and he blinks a couple times, but he refused to open his eyes.
He just wouldn't open his eyes. They were like,
dude,
dude, just
digitally open them. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I have to revisit that now. Yeah.
Yeah, please.
He broke at some point, man. Somewhere along that trilogy, I don't know what happened.
Right? Yeah, it must have been the tax evasion or something. I don't know. So back to him. I mean, that'll do it to you, you know. Yeah.
They can't tax an insane man.
Exactly. Right? Like, oh, maybe that's a plea. I don't know. You know. Yeah.
That's all. Well, yeah. Okay. That brings me to one of my questions. Like, what was like a practical like effect or something that you saw when you were younger that was just like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
What I can.
What
do that,
embedded it in you to go? Yeah, I guess I will learn servos and pistons and pulleys.
Yeah.
I mean, probably the two biggest influences on me, like as a little kid, was seeing E.T. in the theater. I saw that like 7 times in the theater. Like it just
so cool.
completely blew my mind. I completely bought it as something real, and just like fell in love with it. Fell in love with the art of that. Like you could really bring this fake thing to life that convincingly. And then as a couple years later, as I get into darker things, seeing Gremlins. Gremlins ended up being like a massive, to this day, a massive influence. Like we revisit that once in a while, and it's like there's not a false note in that movie. Like that. Completely for 1984, like every puppet shot is like impeccable, and just like I completely buy those things. Is like, oh, that's a real thing. That's a real creature. And
where do I get one?
Yeah, exactly. Where do I get one? It was just like I was so in love with those as kids. It inspired me kind of on that path and like never looked back, you know.
That's so cool. I just showed it to my niece over the holidays. I'm like showing her like a little more like we showed her like Five Nights at Freddy's.
Right, yeah.
Like she
they're like kind of gateway movies.
Yeah, gateway horror, exactly.
Yeah.
And like so Gremlins was one that I was like, oh, if you haven't seen this, turns out she had, but I was like watching it with her again. And she was just like in love with the entire thing. I was like, that's like, dude, it's movie magic. Like that's exactly what that is.
That holds up. That holds up, you know?
Yeah, 100%. That's so cool though.
It's
I can understand, and I could totally see the Gremlins thing in all your work, by the way, too. Trippy, very like
you love. I mean, it's
textured,
like totally. One of like one of the cheapest tricks in the book is to bring something to life. Is if you can make it like a little like sweaty or wet or slimy, instantly can make any piece of mediocre rubber all of a sudden look like, oh, that's like a living thing. It's just like when in doubt, if something looks a little too dry, make it wet, and all of a sudden it pops on camera. You know.
Interesting.
So cool. Yeah. I mean, it also like lends to like the Aylmer and Brain Damage.
Right,
like,
exactly.
About him, like extensively. We talked about
that gooey little bad dragon.
Exactly. I love it. And Gabe Bartalos, who was the effects artist for Brain Damage, is a close friend of mine. And he's got a huge statue of Elmer in his office. And
that's so cool.
And he's got Belial, because he did Basket Case 2 and 3. Wow. He did Frankenhooker. He did Bad Biology. He's all the
Henenlotters. Like,
basically, he's done every Henenlotter movie since the first Basket Case.
That's so cool.
And it's just like, I love it. I got to meet Henenlotter a couple times being at Gabe's and stuff. And it's super cool. Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. And it's very cool to even have that like, interaction now.
Oh yeah, well, somebody with the old school, like, oh, he's from that previous generation, the old school, like gritty New York. In fact, in the club scene in Brain Damage, he's the slam dancer with the mohawk.
No shit.
That's hella funny.
Yeah.
Is he shirtless? I feel like I'm like picturing a shirtless guy with a mohawk in that scene.
I think he has a leather jacket on, but I
want to say mention it about like how you can hear the Foley of all the chains rattling and shit.
Right, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's actually pretty funny to think about, like a silent disco for crust punks, and just all the sound, the sound surrounding them.
Exactly. Hell yeah.
That's so cool, dude.
Yeah, that's such an interesting experience, and we sort of have that through hip hop sometimes, where you'll be like talking to somebody and then they'll be like, oh, well, like one time I did a song with my friend Paul, and then he was like, man, I really liked it. And I showed it to my friend, and now he's on the song. And that happened to be this rapper Blueprint, who's more famous than Paul and I combined.
So yeah.
But you having that experience in person of like, you're just hanging out with your friend, and then he's just like, oh, hold on, someone's at the door. Oh, hey, Henenlotter.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Dude, I mean, totally. Stuart Gordon came over one time. We did a play for Stuart. Stuart and Gordon did like a 2-man show on Broadway, or not Broadway, but very off Broadway in LA here, where we did this effect, and it was crazy because it was it had to be all pre-rigged, because like once the guys are on stage, you can't touch them again. They're there the entire time. There's no cuts, nothing, And it was based on this real life case that happened in Germany, where maybe you guys have heard of it, where the guy put out on like German Craigslist or whatever, an ad saying that he wanted to eat someone.
Yep.
And
I do think
Yep. Exactly.
And then a guy answered the
Armin,
ad.
Armin Muse or something.
Right,
that was
yeah,
his
yeah,
name.
Yeah, there was a guy who was just like, fuck it, I'll get
right.
eaten.
And they kind of
Yeah,
had
yeah.
sort of like a psychosexual relationship, but he did eat him. And and it was kind of like, okay, well, is it murder? Is it consensual? It ends up being this weird gray area.
A lot of blurred lines.
Exactly, many blurred lines. But Stuart Gordon did a whole 2-man show based on that, where we had to rig the guy with a bleeding penis that was preset. So when on stage, and it's like the big shocking moment where like the audience knows it's building up to this, but then he goes down and takes the guy's pants down, whips his cock out, and then like cuts into it, and it's bleeding all over the stage, and the fucking audience is like, "Oh, we weren't really prepared for that," you know?
This is method, man.
Yeah, exactly. And because there's no cuts, there's nothing to distract you to make you think like it's fake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which was really smart of Stuart Gordon, you know?
Yeah. There's nothing in there for you to go, oh, thank God the seam's there.
Right, exactly. There's no
So-
break. There's no intermission. Nothing, you know?
That reminds me
Yeah.
of the effect from Necromantic, the first one. And
Oh,
the
yeah.
finale scene, like the ending where he's just like fucking spewing blood from his dick.
Oh, yeah.
So,
That shit, that was a big laugh riot in my house. Let me tell you that.
yeah, we've had so much fun talking about like the practical effects. That's what I mean, like on this show. It's just like those are the conversations we have because those are like the set pieces. Like those are the ones that you always talk about.
That's
with
kind
your
of
friends,
what
you know?
this podcast was almost built around. Was like how for Sideshow and I, you know, there was that period of time where like you're in high school and you've just got a friend who's like, hey, check this movie out, and then you get into this, and then eventually you're giving that friend movies back.
Right.
And me and Sideshow had that relationship like online. Like we played a show. I was on tour. I'm from the Bay Area.
Okay.
So I was on tour. We played a show together in LA. We played with a mutual friend of ours who invited Sideshow to perform. We ended up becoming friends. We ended up eventually throwing movies back and forth. And when you're having those conversations, a lot of times it's like, dude, have you seen Antichrist? There's a scene where they do like a female circumcision. You know, there's always like this, because it's like almost, and I feel this way about comic books too. I don't feel this way about many art forms, but comic books and horror movies are very much built around the spectacle to the point where someone can go, hey, have you read this storyline? Thor rips Ares in half. You gotta read it.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
I'm okay with that. But if it was like a TV show or like a drama series, and someone was like, "Man, Don Draper," eventually, I'd be like, "Dude, shut the fuck up."
That's the thing, exactly. You don't want a big giveaway of what happens with Heisenberg or Tony Soprano or something. It's that's you want to immerse yourself in that world. But you're right. Comics, you know, like what does it build up to that big 2-page spread of that big image, and the same thing with horror films specifically, where this is the one where they're impaled on the stakes, or this is where he cuts his tongue off, and
this is I can't remember the name of it, but there is a somewhat recent werewolf movie where I've only seen a YouTube clip someone posted on like r/horror, where the dude starts to transform, but he's pissed drunk, and he goes into the bathroom and he whips his dick out and starts pissing, and then his dick transforms into a werewolf. And then the rest of his body, like you literally see his dick like grow hair and turn into a werewolf.
That's hilarious. Do they just focus on the dick then instead of the rest of the body?
Yeah, like the first thing you see is the dick changing, and then you see the rest of his body.
And he's kind of formed then already. That's actually a really smart way to get around the costly transformation of a full body. Oh, we don't have to do a change-o head. Just make a dick thing, and that's already going to grab their attention. I mean, that's actually pretty smart, you know?
And like in this really crazy way, but you know, just what a fucking spectacle.
Exactly. It's a great
I wish I could remember.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out later and send it to you, because I'm sure it's worth a watch.
Right. No. Well, it's like that's so much better than like, just like a cross dissolve, or like I look over here and then I look back and all of a sudden he's transformed. At least you get to see something happen, you know?
Yeah,
well,
exactly.
We talked about that too in like noir films, and like how they used to do the cutaway to the shadows when someone was getting stabbed,
right?
Or like you know, anything when a light going out or something like that's always
something that started as a workaround and became a stylistic choice.
True.
It wasn't like, oh man, the implications of doing it this way are like so artistic. It was just like, man, we're not gonna do this whole thing. Like, just go over there.
I mean, totally. I mean, I think Hitchcock is probably a great example of that as well, where there's so much more implying in his earlier films,
Absolutely.
But then you see something later like The Birds, where I mean, it's actually pretty gory. Like it's like full on like gored out eyes, stuff you would never seen in his earlier film, but he's also growing with the industry. Like, at this point now I can show this stuff. So he didn't necessarily want to hide all that stuff, you know?
I wonder how all the comic code, Hays Code kind of stuff. Like I've never really stopped to think about how that interacted with
for sure.
With horror movies specifically, because in comics there was a long time where they were like, you're not allowed to do supernatural stuff, you're not allowed to do religious stuff, you're not allowed to do werewolves, you're not allowed to do zombies, literally to the point where DC has, like, way before Marvel Zombies, DC has a different, like a side universe called Zoovembies, where all of them are Zoovembies, which they're just fucking zombies.
Okay.
They're just fucking zombies, but they're called Zoovembies.
Whoa,
so they were
crazy.
just like, well, I guess they're not zombies.
That's the perfect segue. You have no idea. The Marvel Zombies viral video, like,
I
remember seeing that shit years ago and being like, that looks dope.
Oh, did you see that back in the wild? Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
I saw that way back. I was like, wait, what the fuck? We're going to talk to the guy who made this? That's so crazy.
That is crazy.
So wild. Dude, and what was, I mean,
that whole thing, honestly,
that's fucking hilarious, dude.
Dude, me and my buddy Scotty were both effects guys, and at that we were really into Marvel Zombies at that time, the comic series, and we were like, what are we gonna do for Halloween this year? Oh, okay, I'll be Zombie Spider-Man, and you be Zombie Hulk, cool, and we'll go party, awesome. And then we started making the costumes, like, this shit's pretty dope. Like, let's shoot something. Let's so. We're like, let's just get like a little gang together. We cast like a girl off of nowcasting.com to be Mary Jane. So this poor girl, Angela, she shows up in this dark alley for like $100 or whatever. And she was like, are these guys going to kill me? And her manager is like, he was like, if anything's sketchy, call me right away and I'll come and get you. And then like, no, we're just a couple of goofy effects guys. And we thought you'd be a really hot Mary Jane, you know? But we basically took over an alley. We were climbing on people's roofs, setting up lights, just totally like guerrilla style. Shot it over a couple nights. And funny thing was, for some of the shots I had to jump in as Zombie Spider-Man for some of the grosser close-up things that nobody else would do. And I've got my face like piled into her stomach guts, and I'm eating her, and all of a sudden, and then the spotlight's on us, and a cop car is driving right at us down the alley. And I'm like, oh shit! And like we're that close to being done, and I was like, fuck! I was like, I spit my denture. I got these like bloody dentures and stuff. I spit them out, and I'm like, I tell everybody like, just let me handle this. And I'm still in the Zombie Spider-Man outfit, and the cops come out, and he puts a spotlight on her guts, just nasty intestines and fake blood all over this alley, all over somebody's like garage door. And I was like, we're just kids. I'm from the New York Film Academy, and we're shooting my thesis film. We're almost done. And he was just like, all right, have fun. And just kept on going. And it was like, see, that's the beauty of finding the right place. If you're going to do guerrilla style, find the right place. You could be killing hookers back there, and nobody would care. But you pull that shit in the wrong neighborhood, like it's like you might as well be murdering somebody for real. Like you're gonna get like fined. You're gonna go to jail. It'll be a huge thing, you know.
Yeah. I'm surprised. We haven't, and I haven't seen everything, so I can't say with certainty. But I'm surprised I haven't seen yet that in a movie of like, oh, don't worry, we're just filming a thing, and then they leave, and then drag her back by her hair into the
right, and they're really doing something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like it's been done because that's a really good idea, but like definitely gotta.
Welcome to the Ideas for Free show.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm making mental notes right now. Yeah.
No, for sure. Yeah, it's so fun, and I know that was like a huge deal too because I mean like the video itself is over like 1 million views. Today.
Dude, that blew up in the time of MySpace. I mean, it was going so. We got like over 600,000 hits in like less than 2 weeks, and it was like, and then Chris Hardwick. I don't know if you remember. Attack the Show.
Yep.
Yeah.
That show,
Yep.
Chris Hardwick and the other guy made it #1 most important thing to see on the internet that week. And after that, it blew up. And we're like, oh shit, where could this go? And then all of a sudden, I get served a letter from Marvel Legal.
I was thinking,
and they were like,
you got a cease and desist.
They were like, we've had meetings about this, and we've just decided,
really,
we can't have this continue. You have to take it down off all platforms. They threatened YouTube, made YouTube take it down. It got deleted everywhere, and it was like shit. And but the funny thing was, fans started like taking bootlegs of it, and then put it back up left and right.
Yeah,
so it was still kind of surviving, but then we lost that momentum.
Will find a way.
Yeah, exactly. It found a way. What the thing that when I look back, it stings a little bit was right around the exact same moment that Fede Alvarez made his viral video out in Brazil, I think it was. The one with the aliens and stuff, and blew up, got him called to Hollywood, got a meeting, and then basically that whole thing started his career. And it was just, you always wonder, like, oh, could we have had that Fede Alvarez career?
Dude, there's something about the punk rock nature of that, though, that story, and like where you are today. Like,
I gotta believe,
beautiful story.
Yeah.
I gotta believe someone at Marvel has a little file with all of this, and when they eventually do that Marvel Zombies movie, hopefully they open that file.
Hopefully so. It's funny, my directing partner on that is convinced that Marvel ripped us off for doing their post-credit sequence on Iron Man, because they had never done one yet, and we had a post-credit sequence before that with zombie Captain America. So he's like, oh man, they shut us down so they could steal the post-credit sequence. I'm like, sure, man. I don't know.
They had meetings about it, so that's not out of the realm of possibility.
Exactly. Yeah. You never know.
Yeah.
Literally.
And then every movie since then has had a post-credit sequence. So,
Yep.
And I do think at one point in the first season of What If, because they do have a Marvel Zombies episode, but all the What If episodes kind of like converge at the end. Like they seem unconnected, but eventually it all comes together because it's all like multiverse shit, But I can't remember which episode it is, but one of them does literally have a post-credit sequence where I think that's the whole reveal is that there's a zombie Captain America.
Oh, are you serious?
I think that's literally it. Is like
I'd be on the phone with them now, dog.
I'm gonna check that out.
I'll try to remember what episode it is.
We gotta stick it to the fucking man, bro.
Right? No shit, dude.
Yeah, because they do a whole episode set in, what if Marvel Zombies happened, even though like people who read comics know like that's a whole continuity already.
Right.
But then they just do, MCU Marvel Zombies.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So funny, dude. Well, that's great, man. I'm glad we got to like touch on that. I wanted to ask you too, what you guys, what was your involvement in Dead Girl? Because we've been talking about wanting to cover that movie on this show for a while now.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's a great one. That one actually kind of started my independent career a lot.
That's so cool.
Because I'd been working at a lot of all the other effect shops in LA and stuff up to that point. And then Trent Hega, who also wrote Citizen Toxic Avenger Part 4, which was the first movie I worked on.
Yeah.
We stayed buddies over the years, and Trent wrote Dead Girl and was like, nobody's ever gonna make this movie in a million years. It can't.
The hard ones
It can't be made. It can't be made.
Sure.
And then the directors, Gotti and Marcel, they wanted to make something. They wanted to make their first feature something kind of subversive, and they were looking over his scripts, and they were like, "Oh, like what about this one?" He's like, "No, you can't. No, it's not possible." And they're like, "No." They read it, and they're like, "Let's do this." So then they were like, "Okay, we think we can pull enough financing together to do this, like really limited budget." And they came to me, and I read it, and I was like, "Ooh!" I was like, "I like the controversial elements from this.
Yeah.
I like these are good guys. I know this isn't going to be trash. I know this could be like really skeezy subject matter."
That's
but
exactly what I was gonna say. That's neat that you even took the risk on that because.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if in the wrong hands, I wouldn't do that movie.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
100%. Yeah,
but we had many meetings because these guys really cared too about every aspect of it and how it would be done and stuff. So I was like, okay, like these are the right people, and also I really trusted Trent too.
Nice.
So yeah, and then, and then we were off and running. Yeah, I mean it was crazy. We shot at an old abandoned hospital in downtown LA. That was like Linda Vista and just Linda Vista. Yeah, I mean there's old turned over baby incubators and weird medical files thrown everywhere.
Wow,
dude, Linda Vista's creepy.
Wow. Little side quest for this one. I used to live down the street from it.
No way.
Like a full production company. We used to see like cars all the time.
Oh shit, that's crazy.
I used to walk by it all the time. My school was right down the street from it.
Oh really?
That's so fucking wild.
Yeah.
Linda Vista.
Linda Vista is yeah. Is
this like a psychiatric hospital near you or something?
Yeah, it was an old abandoned building from what I know.
Oh.
Like I think in the 80s it was.
It probably got shut down something in the 80s, maybe early 90s. But what made it extra creepy is that it's like it got shut down one day in the middle of work and everybody just evacuated and left everything.
Yeah, there was just shit laying around.
The patient beds, patient files. Yeah. I mean, just there's a bowling alley down. I mean, there's all this. There's all kinds of because me and Dead Girl, Jenny Spain, we got to be good friends. So whenever we weren't needed, we would just go fucking snoop around,
explore,
and run.
Yeah.
And, it's
that was the big thing
creepy.
For kids. Yeah, around the neighborhood, they'd always break in and drink in there.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, total great party place, and so
for sure.
Perfect location for that. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, I had actually not heard of that movie, so I just did a quick Google on it, and now I have to see it, especially now that I know it's.
Oh yeah, no,
it's brought it up on the show before. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. I mean, it's one of those where it's not a date night movie, you know? I mean, it's
all of our movies are not date night.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, my girlfriend has to watch all of them with me, so.
Perfect. Okay. You put it in context ahead of time, you know?
Yeah, it's Linda Vista was fucking, it's the site for everybody's film there. Literally, I think Disturbed's done videos there, Avenged Sevenfold. I've seen, a couple of, Fast and Furious movies I think were filmed there, too.
That's a trip.
A bunch of shit. It was a film production company for a while. I know I forgot who took it over, but then they basically turned the entire thing just purely for film studios. It was a film studio, and so people would just film in there, and that was the prime location for years for a lot of people. And then it became a retirement center, I believe. Now it's actually an old folks home.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, crazy.
When I've gone that,
at least they didn't tear it down, you know?
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. The structure is fucking huge. It's crazy. But yeah, that place had the perfect look for a horror movie.
I love that the first film on the list of films shot at Linda Vista is Born in East LA.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
but then it gets really quickly into horror because the second one is Addams Family Values.
Yeah.
Oh wow, crazy.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's insane how many movies were filmed there. It's crazy.
Well, there's a lot.
What made it so nice is you just walk in and you're ready to shoot. You don't have to do any set dressing. Literally. It's just all fucked up. And with the actors could even just fuck the place up because the two main kids are supposed to be just these kind of like deadbeat kids, so they can really go in there and drink and smash windows, and you do whatever you want, you know.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
You guys are like, we need another take. Just move to another room with a non-smashed window.
Pretty much, yeah, exactly.
Literally, it's crazy. I've never actually been inside, but I always wanted to go. But I was just like, by the time I was old enough, like it had already been converted into the film studio, so I was like,
no breaking in.
Yeah. I gotta point out on the list of music videos that have been shot there. I'm surprised not to see Slipknot on there, but Duran Duran, 9 Inch Nails, Avenged Sevenfold, Hollywood Undead, Paramore, Fall Out Boy,
Nightmare there, and I really like that album.
Yes,
even though it's a controversial one.
Fall Out Boy did 3 videos there.
Wow.
And then my boys in Broken Side did a video there as well.
Wow, really? Wow, no shit.
That's
crazy.
You know what? That's a connection I should make, because I should let them know. I should be like, hey, we just interviewed Jim. He's done all this work.
Yeah.
You got. I think that could be a cool collaboration.
Yeah,
actually.
Totally.
Yeah, that would be fun. I love because I've done a few songs with Fat J, the producer of Broken Side, and similar to Median Sideshow, I was just on tour. Someone booked him on a show. He said, hey, why don't you guys come crash at my house? So we're at his house, and all of a sudden I'm looking around when we're hanging out in like his garage studio. And I'm like, man,
really like Broken Side.
Yeah, that's literally what I said. And he was like, oh, I'm part of it. And I was
right. Just like ultimate fanboy.
Oh, goddamn.
And so now we've done a few songs together. And when I do them live and I mention it, I'm like, hey, does anyone remember the band Broken Side? I feel like, in my head, I'm like, a few people were like, oh, yeah, I remember that. But, like, a lot of people do.
People remember Broken Side, yeah. Well, that's cool. I mean, that's a good segue into we talk, again.
I'm a segue machine.
Yeah, thank you. You're killing it today. So we talk a lot about, like, music, like, 2 music artists in the show. Like, we talk, again, like, hardcore bands. We talk to rap artists on here, like, all that stuff. So, like, and obviously you're working with metal music, you're working with hardcore music and stuff. Like, what are some of your favorite, like, genres to go to? And, like, do you use the music as, like, influence in your work sometimes when you're working?
That's a really good question.
Is that, like, something that you do yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like old school punk rock. Like that's like that's my the first big like life-changing music event. The first big life-changing music event I had was my first concert, which was like, we're like in high school still. We think we're tough. We've been to little pissant shows in my little hometown in Minnesota. And then we go to this giant field in Wisconsin to see Suicidal Tendencies and Danzig open for Metallica. Ooh. And that shit like went bonkers. And we're like, whoa. And this was like the first version of Danzig too, like the best one. So it was just like, it was like mind blowing.
Well,
that's crazy.
Worked with,
and then worked with them all these years later. No, that's that'll be like a whole nother like segue.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get there for sure. That's awesome, though.
And then right after, when the Sex Pistols did their '96 reunion tour, I told my boss, I was like, I'll quit. I don't care. I don't care about anything. Me and my boys, we are driving from Minnesota to Portland, Oregon, because that's the only tickets that are still available, and we're going to see the Sex Pistols. And going there to see that, and it kind of made me feel like, because I always felt like an old soul, like, I should have been born earlier, but it felt like that would solidify it. Dude, we stupidly bought like the better seats, so we're in the balcony, and we're like, no, we gotta be down there on the edge. What are we doing? We're up here like a bunch of old farts, like, oh shit. And so me and my buddy Marty, we go downstairs, and there's a security guard. He won't let us in because our tickets won't match.
Oh my god.
And it was like, we have to get in there. And they're like, nope, your tickets say you got to be in the balcony.
I
And we're
think
like,
that's one thing that the modern world has gotten right. Is I'm pretty sure if you have balcony tickets now, they'll let you in the pit.
right? I think so.
You paid more.
Exactly.
You paid more.
You should have access to anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Bitch, I'm going backstage.
Dude, we went back to the bar. We psych ourselves up. We're like, okay, we're just gonna take that guy out. Fuck
Yeah,
it.
bum rush him.
Like we're gonna bum rush him. We're taking him out. Nothing is gonna stop us from getting out there. Like this is a once in a lifetime thing, and we're all like, all right, we're gonna fucking take this guy out. And we get back up to the door, and right as we're getting there, he switches out with this nice old guy, and then the old guy's like, oh yeah, he's like, oh no problem, just go in. And we're like, oh, okay, cool. We didn't have to like beat anybody up or anything, you know?
Good, because we would have killed you.
We would have fucking murdered you. and we get out there and
I'm one day from retirement.
exactly. He's like, I got nothing to lose. Shit, just go in, kid. But dude, and then getting down there and just the fucking energy, the kids like completely ripped the place apart. It was this beautiful theater. They stupidly booked a show like that in this gorgeous old palace. They fucking ripped the seats right out of the floor and were throwing them at the bouncers. They were fighting the bouncers. Like people were caving each other's heads in. It was just like, this is what I want to see. This is the energy that we've been missing. This is what I'm always like chasing that. I'm always chasing that youthful punk rock energy. And it's
violence.
just like nothing makes me feel alive like that. That's why I still love all those like old school like hyper violent punk rock movies.
Yeah.
Whether it's Suburbia, Boys Next Door, fucking Class of 1984, Romper Stomper, all that stuff, all that crazy shit. Like,
you're hitting my childhood right now. That's awesome.
I love that intense shit, man. Yeah.
It's
so
it's so funny you say that because there's a venue in San Francisco called the Warfield. And it's very similar, where like lots of high energy or metal. Like I've been to a metal show there, but it's all like there's no pit. It's all seated. So if you're at a concert there at all, you're supposed to be seated. And so I was kind of like imagining that place as you're explaining it, you know, like it's like a mismatch of venue. Then when you were like, they're ripping the chairs out, I was like, yeah, I guess that's what I could see happening.
Exactly. It's like, you don't put chairs here, no.
Yeah, what the hell? You need somewhat of a pit if you're going to have, you know, Metallica, Sex Pistols,
right,
Slipknot, those high energy bands.
I saw
exactly.
System of a Down at the Hollywood Bowl, and I was like, how the fuck are people not ripping the seats out and just flailing them? Right
Is that the same way where it's all seated?
It's all seated. Yeah, it's all seated. Except for the very back that was the lawn area, and they were going off. They were doing their job for sure. But like, dude, I being like 5 feet away from the band and not being able to move, I was like, I'd absolutely fucking cry. I don't know how I'm gonna emotionally deal with that.
We have 2 venues out here that are similar, that are like the big arena type kind of, where it's like for those bigger shows. So like when I've seen like Wu-Tang and stuff like that have been at like these venues. So yeah, it's like the pit is like the second most expensive place, and then there's all this VIP seating,
right?
And then like 500 feet back is the lawn, which is like, I ain't paying for nothing but the lawn.
Right.
But
get with binoculars out and shit. Yeah.
They have like monitors everywhere, you know. So like I've seen Made in there, and it's like, you know, Bruce is running all around. You could watch him from that distance and get a good show, but you can also see the close-ups and stuff.
Right,
you know?
right,
For sure,
totally.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's
awesome, dude.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, man. We just did the No Values tour out here at the Pomona Fairplex, and it was like, I mean, dude, over 40,000 people showed up for a bunch of old punk bands. Crazy.
Fucking depressed that I couldn't go.
Dude, it was hot. Everybody got sunburned, but it was like amazing. It was amazing. And see, my big thing was like, I love all those bands. Like and I've seen a bunch of them. I worked with some of them before. But my big thing was I've seen the Misfits with Glenn a couple times, but they've been at those places where it's like I'm fucking seated like I'm watching Aerosmith. It's like, no, like that. This is the wrong energy.
That's a good comparison.
That's the thing. I don't want that. Like we went to Elton John's last performance in the U.S. at Dodger Stadium a couple years ago, and that was amazing, and it was seated, and it's like, oh cool, like I can dig this.
For that.
This is appropriate. You don't go and sit in a seat to see the Misfits, you know, and so to see them like in the pit at No Values, like that was my big thing. And honestly, I've never seen anything scarier, because we camped up front, because it was the same stage where Iggy Pop was. So we were there for Iggy, puts on an amazing show. Everybody's crushed, but you know, Iggy brings the good vibes and stuff, you know? So like once that show's over, like, okay, we're not going anywhere because we're right up front. We gotta stay here for the Misfits. And as soon as they go on, I had never seen anything like it, where people were so dangerously crushed, where there wasn't even room for your lungs to like breathe. Where my girlfriend eventually had to bail. She was like, we're gonna see somebody die. And it was just I gotta push her to security. I was like, you had to crowd surf out of there. It was the only way to get out. And then every other girl around me was like, oh, get me out. Like, and then it was just all these like aggro dudes, you know.
Oh man, that's so
She's like, if you make it, I'll meet you outside.
Yeah, exactly. I was just
I saw the Misfits with Jerry Only, and that was at the Queen Mary. I want to say it was in like 2015.
Is that the cruise ship?
Yeah.
The Queen Mary.
I once played on that ship because because early on in my musical career, we fell for one of those like Battle of the Band music showcase kind of things, and so we like drove overnight down to LA, played on No Sleep, and then it was just like, why did we even do this?
Straight up. Everyone I've talked to is like played stuff like that as the same interaction.
Yeah, I think and that was when I was actually performing with a band. So now, you know, just for context, I perform with a producer.
Okay.
So when you're with a band, I think that's sort of a rite of passage. At some point, you get fucked. You get fucked doing something stupid like that.
Everybody get in the van and go to the shitty show and get ripped off, and
Yeah, they said this is how stars are made. We gotta go.
Right.
You know?
Totally.
No, I was there. Yeah, I was there, and I saw Jerry Only, and I was like, okay, I'm excited for this. I know it's gonna be a pretty cool show. I know that there's still space in the big ass parking lot that they have right here, so like shouldn't be too crowded, nothing like that. I make my way up to the pit. Fucking, I could barely breathe, and I was barely touching the ground on my own. It was fucking insane. Like it was like they were rabid, dude. It was wild.
The idea of being like in a pit like that, but then also somehow you get lifted off your feet like that. That's crazy.
Like,
I'm 6'2", like several hundred pounds is what I'm gonna leave it at. But my ass was floating, dude. It was fucking crazy.
That's crazy.
Having a religious experience.
Right.
The closest I've gotten to that was recently going to see Knocked Loose at the Shrine Hall in LA, which was like, I mean, they capped it out. I don't even remember how many thousands of people, but they said it was their biggest show that they've ever headlined as a band. And I was in the middle of it, and there's videos of this, you can just see like their wall of death when they have it. I've never seen this place sold out, that packed and that violent all at once. It was fucking terrifying. From the front of the stage to back behind the sound booth, there was a wall of death. And I was like near the sound booth when it happened, and I just like I was just like, I'm gonna either get like seriously bodily injured tonight, or I'm just gonna die here. And, like, either one is okay with me, honestly. But
like you signed up for it, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. That was one of the most violent things I've ever witnessed in my life. So much fucking fun, absolutely. But I'm the same way as you were. Like, I'm seeking out. I can't be up in the nosebleeds. I can't be up in the seats. Like, I can do it, but I'm not having as good of a time as I would on the ground in the shit.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, because I feel like you spend a lot of money either way, so it's kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah. I just, the experience.
That's the thing. It's like, I can't beat the general admission, you know, and just everybody like get where you
can. You know? And that's why it always cracks me up that the seats are generally more expensive. I'm like, okay, for a less good time.
Right, exactly. You know? Yeah. No.
So, but like that's so that's a good question. So like, who are you listening to right now? Like, who's a band that you really like at the moment, or like a couple of bands that you're listening to, and like in that vein, be it heavy or not, you know?
Um, yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of bands right now. Yeah, I mean, Lee Ving from Fear put out a new like Range War. He did some bonus tracks, like his country stuff.
God,
And then
fucking love Fear.
there's this awesome record shop down in LA, kind of in Hollywood on Melrose, called Headline Records, and it's all like punk
I've
rock.
heard of it.
Yeah, super cool place, and you can just hang out there. And the owner will like curate a list for you. So it was kind of like,
awesome.
I was like, well, you have this like only like 100 of like the blood red album of Last Resort, and it was like, oh hell yeah, I'll get that. And it was like, you know what other bands are like that, And like he gave me a whole list: Lion's Law, Chisel, Violent Affair, Hard Knocks,
shit.
a bunch of other really cool like oi street punk stuff.
That's
like
so
I was kind of
sick.
like, when the weather gets a little hotter, I get into some of that stuff,
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, and I imagine, like, do you got that going while you're working on whatever in the
Yeah, we get
studio and
that
stuff?
going, and then you're jumping between that and podcasts, and I was learning just about the science of memory yesterday, on Jordan Harbinger,
A fellow Stuff You Should Know fan.
Yeah, exactly. Right, totally. Yeah.
I was just listening to a good one on Wikipedia yesterday.
Oh, really?
I didn't realize 9/11 is why Wikipedia is so big, because there was all this reporting going on, and it was so hard at the time to like know where to look for things.
Yeah.
But the Wikipedia page, it just happened to be that was the moment when the entire internet was like, all right, all these other servers are going down, but Wikipedia is so low tech that it's staying afloat. Let's just collate everything onto here.
Right.
So-
I might listen to this podcast now.
Yeah, so the page for the September 11th attack was the first wiki page to really like get big and have like tons and tons of contributions. And that's when people were like, oh shit, this is a useful
It's a
tool.
great resource to keep adding to. Yeah, that's interesting.
I'm sure he's not the only person who's ever like reached out to you on a personal level. I'm sure you have like bands and artists and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But a friend of mine, and I wouldn't hold it against you if you didn't remember, because I'm sure you get a lot of commissions.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm pretty sure a friend of mine from San Jose by the name of Sasquatch Josh got a mask made by you, because he has like a very fleshy mask that he wears sometimes. And I believe he told me, yeah, I got this from the guy who makes Slipknot's masks.
Sasquatch Josh.
Oh,
Do you know?
interesting.
I'm trying to think. Do you know what? It's kind of fleshy.
It's like dark brown, and it almost looks like just thinking of it from memory, it's almost sort of like if a tree had flesh. It's like kind of barky but kind of fleshy at the same time.
Sounds like
And
the
he
mask
like
from
wears it while he
Creep.
raps.
This is a mask from Creep.
Oh, really?
Let me see if I can.
That's got to be hot as fuck in there, man. I don't know how do you do that.
Dude, all these guys, man. I don't know, all those years, like when Jay Weinberg was drumming for Slipknot, like he never wanted any opening in the mouth. And it was just like,
fucking absurd.
like all he had was just like the little nostril holes. And it's like, you sure, dude? Like, no. He's like, it sucks no matter what. So I'd rather just not breathe.
Holy
And I was like,
shit,
damn,
that's
dude, you are a
fucking
beast,
crazy,
man.
dude. That's nuts.
I'd rather really suffer.
Exactly.
It's like,
Right.
like the dude's doing arguably the hardest job in the band up on stage. That's
So this
crazy.
this isn't his mask, but this is a guy called Chuckles.
Okay.
And I think he might have also gotten his mask from you. But this is kind of like he hangs out with a lot of like, and me and Sideshow had kind of this misunderstanding at one point. I would describe them as Juggalo-esque, but not necessarily Juggalos, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they really like this kind of horror,
I
Slipknot-y aesthetic.
I don't know if that was us.
Okay.
That because there's been a lot of people that have made their masks over the years, so it may have been somebody else.
Ah, okay, that makes sense then.
How long have you been working with them?
We've been with them for a little over 5 years now.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he told me that probably about that long ago, about
So
like
you would have
5
worked with
years
them
ago.
on the last
Yep.
last album then, right?
Yeah, we started with them on "We Are Not Your Kind," and then went all the way through to now. Yeah.
No, that's
Oh, here we go. Here's his mask on this side. That's him.
Okay. Nope,
that looks
not me. Not
Okay.
me. But or it's possible because some of my team also makes masks, so it's possible it might have been somebody else on my team too.
Okay. Well, I'll shout out to my boy Sasquatch Josh.
Yeah, right on. Cool mask though. Yeah.
I'll let him know if he wants to go straight to the source.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
Give you the friend and
fucking-
family rate, you know? Yeah.
Aw.
Dude, that's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that's just such a fucking insane, again, full circle thing for me, being that I love Slipknot was just one of my favorite bands forever. I mean, my first tattoo when I was 18 was the S, and I mean I've loved that band. Since probably a little bit before high school, around high school, but for that band to be on that level, and they were the ones who introduced me to the love of masks that I have, today and stuff, and the art form and the respect that I have for mask making, and then I know collectors and stuff on I follow a bunch of them on Instagram and Facebook and stuff, and it is amazing to see the detail and love that goes into that type of work, and the attention, and then you have to make it durable. On top of that, like I said,
yeah, no, there's certain
you guys are fucking
considerations with them specifically. One of the first things that Clown said, when we very started making their masks 5 years ago, was yeah, the shit has to be aluminum or stainless steel because we're dripping. We have so much. So if you try to put any other kind of zippers or hardware that's just that's not brass with a silver finish or something, it's gonna rust. And then the stuff it gets you can't open and close it. So it's just all those little details, you try to
that's crazy to think about, that they've been wearing masks and working with mask makers for so long that it's kind of funny how, as a fan of something or a customer of a certain industry, you gain a weird amount of knowledge. You know what I mean? To the point where they're telling you no, I want these materials
exactly
for this reason.
Totally.
Don't put any fucking felt in my
right, exactly. Don't put that cheap shit that rusts right away, all that stuff.
Yeah.
That's
No,
crazy.
I mean that's the thing. Well, each member usually kind of has a pretty good idea of what they want, and sometimes they come up with designs, sometimes we'll come up with designs. We'll go back and forth, and it's really cool because everybody's very much an individual, and we have our own one-on-one collaboration. So it is cool. It's each mask becomes this collaborative work of art for that specific person.
Yeah. They're very much unique to each person's characters, and from what I know, their personalities and stuff. And then you kind of get to know that Sid, for example, his masks are fucking insanely elaborate a lot of the time, and
totally.
shit. And he's got this crazy aesthetic to him that I absolutely I've loved the band forever, like I said, but his masks in particular, even if recently, recent years, have just been more and more increasingly impressive. I have grown to love that the masks that he has so fucking much. It's insane the amount of detail. I love the one that rips away.
Oh yeah.
That has the shit underneath. It's the old monk looking one.
Right, totally.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, no, it's so cool though that you had. I'm speaking to the guy who had a hand in making these things and creating these things. This is fucking surreal for me right now.
I mean, it's honestly it's one of the biggest thrills for us too. Is especially recently going to that Pappy and Harriet's show. It was a secret show with
the one in the desert.
And the one in the desert with a few hundred people, something they haven't done in 25 years. And and we made, and they all had new looks. So we made a bunch of the new looks, and that was the premiere of them. And it's a teeny little place, so we're right there with them. So nothing beats that thrill to see them like doing their thing and like just like, oh yeah, shit, this is what you look like now doing your thing with what we made you. And seeing that on stage is like such a thrill.
A background gig, like backyard gig type of feel to it.
Right.
That's literally what it felt like, a punk rock backyard
totally
gig. I was like,
exactly.
That's fucking insane. I was losing my mind when I was
watching.
Oh,
for sure. And I think the venue thought kids were going to go even more ape shit, probably jumping on stage, going crazy. Yeah. But it's like everybody was actually like just kind of vibing. Like it was like it was all like kind of good energy, you know.
You're taking in the moment of like.
I think that's what it was. It was just like, let's not like fuck this up. Let's just like let's like witness this, you know.
Yeah, my buddy AJ Good was out there, and like posting stuff, and I was just like, dude, that's so fucking cool to see that. Like he was there, and he was at like Sick New World posting pictures of that.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Dude, it's just insane to see how far, like, cause I've known him too for a while, and I know he's like the biggest like collector that I probably know of like Slipknot material and shit. And I've known him for a few years now. It's been awesome to see that like kind of trajectory for him and how close he's gotten with the band and stuff.
Totally, and doing his Pale Fest thing now and all that.
Yeah, good for you. That's what I'm saying. So shout out to AJ Good, man. That's fucking dope. Go check him out. But yeah, just the like clips that I saw from that show, that was the introducing of the new masks, right? That was the debut.
Yep, that was the debut.
I was losing my mind. I was like, what the fuck, dude? It's crazy because it feels like. Then, like, no joke, it feels like they're old masks again. It feels like that attitude from that era when they were first coming out, and it was just like kicking open the door, like, we're here, motherfucker. Like,
exactly, yeah. No, they felt real cool, revitalized, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, I think if you don't have any more questions, Chad, I think we could leave it off there. That's a fucking great place to call it, I think.
I mean, I kind of thought about this earlier, right after we finished talking about SMT. I guess have you done any other like video game work specifically?
Video games.
Because for Sega to approach you like that is fucking crazy.
Yeah, no, it is crazy. It is crazy. No, we really haven't. But they did because a big part of their selling point on this and who they were going to team up with was that we wanted to release these making of videos. And that like we would have to do a lot of the recording ourselves in-house because we know what's going to look the coolest. We know the steps and all that stuff and explaining it. And because I had done that stuff with Josh Gates from Expedition Unknown on Discovery Channel, we did a bunch of videos with him where we turned him into different creatures and stuff. And we did whole making ofs in the shop. So we did one with IGN. Which is they're dialed in with the gamers and as a big it was last year actually as a Comic-Con. Oh shit, this was a huge game thing. I was like, you just had to jog my memory a little bit. 1 year ago we did a big promotion with IGN and Callisto Protocol. We created this mutant from Callisto Protocol with this kind of like zombie mutant with these big pustules and with a full body suit and everything. And then and we put one of their hosts in it and fit it to him, and he went to Comic-Con and was interviewing people and you know his things are pulsating and stuff and they shot some footage with it. We did a whole making of that was like really comprehensive and killer. Yeah. So but by having those other making ofs to show, that really helps sell us to Sega, you know?
Yeah, that's cool. It's really cool when like you don't realize, but you've been putting all these pieces on the board to like build towards this thing, and then you're just like, huh? Yeah, okay.
Exactly. Yeah, no, you kind of chip away at like little milestones in your career. Like when we did Dead Girl, it's like, ooh, plus I love zombie movies. I've always wanted to do a zombie movie, and this one's a lot different than any other one that you've ever seen. So this, you know, and then I'm interviewed in Fangoria as Jim Dead Girl Ojala, and it's like, okay. Dude, and then we just did a werewolf movie. I've done werewolf movies for other shops. We just did our first werewolf movie early this year, and that 8-foot werewolf, fully animatronic, like killer.
That's fun,
so
man.
It was just like you kind of check off these milestones that will like help you on wherever else your path goes, you know?
Yeah.
100%.
Wow.
That's awesome. Do you ever do like cons? Like ever do like or like conventions where you go like and like do I know they do
What was like
makeup
demos and
like
stuff and
demos. Thank you. I was looking for the word. Yeah.
not really demos usually. We did when we were promoting Strange Nature. Do you know Monster Palooza?
Yes, I love Monster.
Yeah,
Palooza.
Monster Palooza's like.
So sad I couldn't go this year.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
Oh man,
best,
yeah, I would have run into you too. That's
yeah, totally.
crazy.
Best gig in town.
Man.
I mean, I'm a
Sucks.
huge
I love
fan of it.
Monster Palooza.
Elliot,
Yeah.
I'm friends with that runs it. He's super cool. He really loves Strange Nature, so he invited us to hold a whole screening that year of Strange Nature at Monster Palooza. And in the museum that you walk through, we had a whole display of our mutant wolves. We have mutant
my
babies.
Part of that
all that
convention.
stuff.
That's
It was so cool to have.
Are you going to be at Sun of Monster Palooza?
I might be. Yeah, we'll see.
Oh,
it's one of those where our whole life changes month to month.
Yeah,
so we have no idea. I know I'm going to shoot a movie in Wisconsin next month, and then who knows? So it's like everything changes, you know.
I hope if you're there, I absolutely need to go and like link up with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, I
Definitely.
love Monster Palooza.
Well,
It's
if you're in
fun.
town too, you should just come by the shop too.
Yeah,
and
I'm
like-
not far from you. I know exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I think you guys are based out of Burbank, right?
Yeah, we're in North Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When are we gonna get the sideshow mask?
Right. Yeah, back when I was first performing, I used to actually have a mask, but I haven't performed
Oh, really?
with a mask for years. Yeah. I used to do it because of Slipknot. Literally.
Oh, that's awesome.
I had one custom made. It was like very like leather, like belt and stuff. Like it was intense. But
Oh, hell yeah.
that thing, I sweated in that thing every fucking second. And
Oh.
that's why I never had more respect for that band until I wore that fucking mask.
Oh, completely. Well, and then also
Until you
too, like,
suffered.
yeah, suffer for your art. Thing is, they're not kids either anymore.
No.
And just to be up there and still doing that, I mean, that's like amazing tenacity, you know.
Absolutely, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like I had a great fucking time talking to you. Thank you so fucking much for coming.
You
on.
know what? I would ask one last question before we go, because we talked about a lot of collaborations, a lot of projects. You know, if it's something we already talked about, definitely you can just answer that. But I guess my question would just be like, what is your personal favorite project that you've worked on? Not with the exception of Strange Nature. I'm sure that would be.
It's
I'm sure that would be
close to
number
the
one.
heart.
Yeah, making your own movie. Nothing beats that.
Nothing beats that. Yeah. As far as like big studio stuff, when I worked on like a lot of big movies and stuff, definitely the most favorite was Where the Wild Things Are.
Oh, that movie was so incredible because it was a movie no one asked for.
Exactly, right? On a left field, right?
Adapting a 15-sentence book.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, I'm not ashamed to say it. Like, I cried in that movie. I was
it's heavy.
I was like, this shit is heavy.
It's fucking heavy, man. I mean, and the thing was like, it's like,
That's
okay,
awesome.
favorite book as a kid, and then you get to go to Jim Henson's Creature Shop every day.
That's so cool.
And
dude.
for like 6-7 months and build these things and see them come to life. Like that was, and also just the vibe at Jim Henson's, especially at that time, was just so beautiful and encouraging and super fun too. Like we'd be like we're doing tons of work, and then in the middle of the day we'd be like, okay, water balloon fight, squirt gun fight, you know,
so
pranks. Margarita party, you know, and it was just like,
so cool.
Everybody's having fun. The job's still getting done, but hey, you know what? It doesn't have to be just a grind. Like there is a way to have a good time and do this, you know?
Yeah, like science literally shows, like, I've never been a big studier, you know? Like in school, I could retain enough information that I didn't do my homework, but I passed tests. Yeah, exactly. So whatever. But having to study now as an adult, like I'm in a job where I have to get like certifications at certain points and stuff. So I have to like sit there and study for 40 hours.
Right.
Never had to do that before. I tried a few days of just studying for 8 hours straight. my brain was melting, and then I look online and it's like, yes, stupid brains don't work like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah.
Take a break.
Totally. You
It's
gotta
better
give
if you
yourself
take
the
a break and do something. And obviously, you know, the Hensons are gonna have that kind of
They gotta
philosophy.
come correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely.
That's super cool. I'm so glad I asked that, and that it just happens to be like, it wouldn't be necessarily on a rewatch list. Like that and AI are two like that like just hit me in the gut as a kid.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like they're important films, but they're not necessarily fun films to watch, you know? Like, like a multiple...
Like a lot of the ones...
That's our ethos.
That's the thing, it's not, right, it's not like watching Gremlins or Brain Damage or something, you know? It's like,
I'm often like, I didn't have fun, but I'm glad I watched this.
Right, I got something out of this, you know?
Yeah, I'm like, how do I phrase this so you don't think I'm a sick fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man, we got to have you back on to talk about a horror movie, too.
Well, it sounds like we got to cover Strange Nature when it's out.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like, let's come back. Dude, I have crazy behind the scenes stories on that film. So yeah, like we could easily do an episode on that and the inspirations for that and just all the drama and everything.
That's kind of what we ended up doing with Neil. Is I brought Slashers up and we watched it and we did an episode, and then Evelyn, who was our co-host at the time, she had to step away from the show for personal reasons, but she was like, you know what's crazy? The credits rolled and this Neil guy, I've been to his house. I've like been to a dinner party.
Oh, really?
So she just reached out, and so the very next episode was us like sitting down and him, you know, going through it. So and maybe we could do something similar.
We absolutely loved that movie for his character in particular, but also because of the masks. We talk about that in the episode.
Oh, right on.
Like how fun the masks are because they add so much like character to the characters. You know what I mean? So
yeah, totally.
It's so cool. Yeah.
It's a low budget, early 2000s American or Canadian movie about a Japanese game show.
It gets very convoluted.
It gets convoluted quick. But so they're wearing these like very fleshy masks that like, you know, cover this part, and then they'll have like matching paint for the chin, you know what I mean, kind of thing. So it's like it's an aesthetic I think you would enjoy.
Yeah, and I'll put it on the list. Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah, we didn't even really get to go into all of the Troma stuff, but like we bring up Troma.
We have all that stuff. That was, I mean, Lloyd gave me my start, so it's like I've got. Awesome. I mean, I have mad stories from that, and also special shout out like for as far as like favorite probably indie film that I worked on. Like for my own studio, this movie Crabs. That's out that we did the effects and I co-produced it, and that was like one of those dream jobs. Like it's literally like Gremlins meets Aliens meets Godzilla. And to do all that practically was like, check it out. It's super fun. It came out last year. It's great.
Oh, wow. Recently.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got it.
Yeah.
We're absolutely.
Yeah. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
The poster just makes me think like, obviously it's just the birds, but with crabs.
Right.
You know? Yeah. That'd be great if there was
when it's like crabs exclamation point. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to catch them all. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'd love to give you the floor for anything you want to plug, you know.
Yeah, if there's anything.
This is probably going to be out in a couple of months, but you know.
Yeah, totally. And then also something I also did a little while ago, but I'm really proud of it is if for anybody that has Shudder, we did
this is a Shudder house.
Oh, have you watched The Core yet?
The Core?
The Core.
The Core? No, I don't think I have.
So
is this about the demon core?
No. This is an amazing horror movie talk show that I co-host and I co-produced.
What?
And it's awesome. We had Soska Sisters, Glenn Danzig,
wow.
We had Mary Herron. We had we had all the Spectrovision guys on. It's super fun. We have these amazing guests on talking about their inspirations, and then some crazy effect happens in every episode. And then I come out and tell you how we did that effect, show you how we did it, how you could do it on different budgets. It's super
cool.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out. As Sideshow said, this is a Shudder house. We we hope one day to be the
Absolutely.
official pod of Shudder.
Hell yeah.
For you.
we
we'd love
we hyped the movies up enough.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
No, that's
yeah,
great.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the ones we cover are actually on Shudder because you can't find them anywhere else.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
That's fucking cool.
Usually I either have to rent it, it's on my DVD shelf, or it's on Shudder.
Or we dig through like the dark corners of eBay.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Fucking sketchy Korean rip of a movie.
Exactly. Hope you're not being traced or whatever, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I'm not on the list.
So the Strange Nature trailer is out now.
Yeah. Yep. And then you can see
Oh.
the movie everywhere. It's on Tubi. We have, you can see it on
also
Amazon.
Tubi
You can see it
household.
everywhere.
Okay, yeah, definitely.
Dude,
Everybody
go watch
listening,
it.
go watch it. I'm going to be watching it right after this.
Absolutely.
Now that I know.
Right on. Thank
This
you.
is
Appreciate
so
it.
cool. Yeah, man, this was such a fucking fun episode, man. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, this was an awesome conversation.
Absolutely, we'll have you back if you'll join us for a movie. We
Absolutely.
would love to fucking cover that.
Anytime, guys.
All right, you guys can find us on Instagram at the Devil's Work Podcast. Wait, is it Devil's Work Podcast?
Instagram is the Devil's Work Pod. We should
I always get
probably
confused.
yeah. So Instagram is the Devil's Work Pod.
Thank
You can
you.
find us everywhere else at the Devil's Work Podcast, including Facebook and TikTok. And if you want to reach out and give us some movie suggestions, tell us some other cool people like Jim that we should interview, things of that nature,
Yeah.
or you just want to tell us how pretty Sideshow is now that you can see his face.
Nice.
You can reach out to the Devil's Work Podcast at gmail.com. And then Jim, I believe your Instagram is Ojala FX.
Yep. Ojala effects. Yep.
Okay. And is there any other links or anything?
And then and then you can also find us on Facebook. We had just Ojala Productions, just Facebook / Ojala Productions.
Okay.
Cool.
Awesome, man. Yeah, no, we will absolutely have you back. Thank you so much.
Sweet.
This was an incredible conversation. I love that we got music, movies, everything.
Oh yeah, no, dude, I
games, dude.
could geek out about all this stuff for hours.
Oh,
so
man,
it was just
It's similar to our conversation with Neil. Like it feels like we're good friends already.
Right, yeah,
Like
no,
it's just such an easy conversation.
Absolutely.
No, you guys set like the right vibe for like a podcast like this. Is perfect.
Oh,
Yeah, thank you.
man. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
That means a lot to us.
Yeah, you can't be too stuffy when you're talking about Aylmers.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Phallic monsters, drippy things.
Romeos and Juliets, things of those nature.
Totally, yeah. Penis monsters, whatever, yeah.
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 All right, you guys, we will catch you next time. We're going to do a full form episode next time. This is just a very special treat. Thank you again, Jim, for coming along, man. This was a fucking treat. You guys definitely go check out Strange Nature, like I said. Go check out any of the core. I'm going to go watch that immediately. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for that.
That's such an amazing idea for a show.
It's like the best one I've seen done, honestly. It's really good.
That
Nice.
sounds fun as shit. Plus, Shudder cannot miss with their programming. I love it so much.
In a weird way, it sounds like maybe someone was watching the core and was like, "Oh, I have an idea for a script. I'll call it Late Night with the Devil."
Right, exactly. Oh, it's in the 70s. Oh, now it's different.
Yeah, exactly. All right, you guys. See you guys next time.